Hello, Rebels of the Sherpa Revolution. Normally, I start off this podcast by saying hi, but I'm going to start this one off by saying hydration. We know how important hydration is for our bodies. It's the thing that keeps us running, right? You want to be a well-oiled machine. You want to be running efficiently. You know what can help you run efficiently? Liquid IV. It is the category-winning hydration brand fueling your well-being, and their hydration multiplier is the one product that you are missing in your daily routine. It comes in a little stick that's a powder, and in just one stick, you get 5 essential vitamins and 2 times faster hydration than water alone. If you use it first thing in the morning, maybe before a workout, when you feel run down, maybe after a long night out and doing a little partying, you know what I mean? And even, what if you have like a long flight or something like that and you just bleh, right? We all feel that way, bleh. So add this to your water, and that convenient packaging can go with you anywhere you go, even if you're going to the gym or you're traveling or you're at work and maybe you didn't have a great breakfast. At least it's something that will fuel you up in the morning, and there's a whole bunch of flavors that are available, like sea berry, strawberry lemonade, Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, guava, acai berry. Did I say that right? I never know how to say that. But those are just some of the flavors. Here's some statistics for you folks. 1 stick of liquid IV in 16 ounces of water contains 5 essential vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, and even vitamin C. And we all know how important those B vitamins are. It's got 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. It's made with premium ingredients. It's non-GMO, and it is free from gluten, dairy, and soy. I'm going to offer you a great deal, Rebels. If you go to liquidiv.com and use offer code Sherpa, you can get 20% off of anything that you order on that site when you're shopping for some better hydration. So that's Liquid IV. Check it out at liquidiv.com.
Too Many Podcasts is brought to you in cooperation with the SJ Network. If you are a person who would like to appear on podcasts, contact Stephen Joyner at s-j-network.com. We now direct you to the Sherpa Chalet, where we will turn it over to Jim the Podcast Sherpa. How he got this job is anyone's guess.
This week on Too Many Podcasts, it's a conversation with Anna, who hosts the GBBA Gorgeous Body by Anna podcast. She's here to talk about her current and upcoming podcast, along with how she stays fit as a personal trainer. My doctor told me to drink less, sleep more, eat healthy, and exercise every day. So today, I'm making a big change in my life. I'm no longer going to that doctor.
Welcome to Too Many Podcasts, the podcast about podcasts. Now, podcasting from the Sherpa Chalet on Mount Podcastia, here's your host, Jim the Podcast Sherpa.
Hello there, Rebels of the Sherpa Revolution, and welcome to Too Many Podcasts. It is the podcast about podcasts and so much more. Jim the Podcast Sherpa coming to you, not live, but alive from the Sherpa Studios here in the Sherpa Chalet high atop Mount Podcastia, where we overlook the mountains and valleys and seas and anything else geographical of podcasts that are out there. And we took a little bit of a breather last week, and you got to hear one of my Sherpa Selects, which you can always hear on Saturdays, which is the way we've been doing it since we hit episode 300. So we've been reviewing a lot of season 1 lately. But onto the new stuff with my guest today.
Who's our guest today, Sherpa?
Her name is Anna, and she is the host of the GBBA podcast. She is a trainer, and she's living out in beautiful Colorado. And we got to spend a little bit of time together. And, you know, I got to say, this isn't your typical interview with a personal trainer, really. We didn't really dwell a lot on diet and exercise. There's a lot more to Anna's podcast than that, and I think it's really important, and you definitely have to hear what she has to say. She is a super nice person, very kind-hearted. She is married to a military person, and she's a military bride, and she even does special stuff for them and for her church as well. A very giving person and a very super nice person. So I think we've hyped it up enough. You're going to like what you hear. So let's head on to my interview with Anna by GBBA, which, by the way, stands for Gorgeous Body by Anna. Hello there, Rebels. We are here in the workout room of the Sherpa Chalet. My guest today is the host of a podcast called GBBA, which stands for Gorgeous Body by Anna. She's coming to us from Colorado. Anna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Jim. I'm so excited.
Oh, it is a pleasure to have you. Now, you were just telling me that you're a military bride, so you live all over the country.
Oh, yes. My husband's been in for almost 10 years. Well, 10 years, 11 years. Oh, gosh, 11 years. And we lived in Germany. We lived in Texas, Colorado, Virginia,
Wow.
wherever the military takes us.
Did you have a special favorite place so far in the places that you...
I love Germany. Oh gosh, the food, the culture. It was amazing. It was different, Yeah. And one thing about Europe, which is different than the US, is they're not workaholic. Like when it's time after lunch, they'll go home and spend time with their family, and then they'll come back to work.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely an interesting concept.
Yeah. I think the US should apply it.
I guess with all the working from home, maybe people are trying to slip in a little family time, maybe, or a little quiet time.
Yeah, well, I work from home, but I'm always busy. I'm super busy.
You said that you're originally from Brazil.
Yes. I'm from Brazil, and I moved to the US in 2008. I left Brazil to fulfill my personal training dream. And I worked at LA Fitness as a personal trainer. And I also was going to college to get my associate in athletic training. And that's where I met my husband. And after that, the military just took over.
Okay. Were you a trainer when you lived in Brazil as well?
No, I was not a trainer. I was in high school. I was working out. I did competitions in Brazil with fitness. And I just always had a passion for fitness. Okay.
And you felt like coming here to the U.S. would help you further that? Did you have a better shot, you thought?
Yeah, I think it's every foreigner dream that lives overseas to come to the U.S. and have the American dream, And I just thought that I was going to be training celebrities, and well, it didn't happen, but I still learned a lot, and I still was able to be a good personal trainer.
Okay, well, there's still time for you too. You never know. I mean, even some of the biggest, celebrity trainers, they start in gyms and then they work their way up, and all of a sudden they have the right contact, and poof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. The only thing is I'm getting older, so now I feel my knees, I feel my back.
You go do 20 more squats. I'm just going to hang out over here and take a little breather. When did you really first fall in love with just fitness? Was it just when you were younger, just doing sports in school? Was that the
so my mom actually used to love doing those YouTube videos. Okay. I don't remember the lady's name, but I think it was Denise.
Denise Austin.
Yes. She would be in like her swimsuit and all that. And my mom used to work out with her, and I used to work out next to her, and I liked it. And PE, physical education, was my favorite class during school. And then sports, I love sports, but I'm not good at it. And being from Brazil, you have to play soccer, so I played soccer all of my high school. And then I also decided to do cheerleading, which I still think it's a sport. What people say it's not. And I did cheerleading for a while. But yeah, I was always active. I loved being active.
Now, you're actually the first guest I think I've had who lived in Brazil. What is that like? Is it very different from living, in Colorado?
Oh, yes. I'm going to be honest. I don't like Colorado. I'm still adjusting because Brazil is like, it's warm. It's hot. I guess the coldest we'll get is like fall here, I would say. And there is a lot of beaches. I love the hot weather,
I guess that's a big shock too. I mean, you're going from beaches to to an elevated area too. I'm sure, like you're being more, towards the mountains.
Yeah. I am. I'm still adjusting with the snow. I mean, I did live in New Jersey, but that's where I met my husband because I went for college. So I did notice, I did have snow there. But I don't know about Colorado's like bipolar weather. Like you'll be outside and it's sunny, and then out of nowhere it's like really cold wind, and then 2 days later it's snowing.
It's one of those states where if you don't like the weather, don't worry, it'll change in 5 minutes anyway.
Yes, exactly. That's how it is.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your podcast. So what was your inspiration for doing it? Did you just figure it was like an extension of your brand in doing so?
Yeah, so Gorgeous Body by Anna started like a while ago. Not the podcast itself, but the mindset of Gorgeous Body by Anna.
Mhm.
I used to go watch bodybuilders perform and do their performing on stage,
Mhm.
and I was always fascinated by that, about the whole anatomy and getting in shape and everything. And then I decided to start interviewing bodybuilders, and in the beginning, it wasn't through podcast. It was through Word. Like I would use a Word format,
Okay.
more like a blog. It was more like a blog. That's what it was.
Okay.
And then I was like, you know what? I could make a podcast out of this. So I started in the beginning talking about Gorgeous Body as being a fitness. But then my husband and I, we went through fertility treatment for about 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and I ended up gaining a lot of weight.
Okay.
And due to that, a lot of fat shaming happened because a lot of people were like, well, you're a personal trainer, you're in the fitness industry. And from there, it made me realize for you being gorgeous, whether you're a man or a woman, it's not just the physical, it's the mental as well as the spiritual.
Absolutely.
And that's where Gorgeous Body by Anna started. And then with my activewear, I wanted any size, whether you are a 2, a 0, a 16, a 14, to be gorgeous while you're working out. So that's where my activewear comes in.
I like that. Body positivity. That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in this society.
Yeah. I guess, we get kind of blindsided by the media sometimes, when we see people who look like, they've never gained a pound in their life and they maintain that perfect build and they've got perfect skin. And, that's not really the reality for many people on this earth. Some people are just blessed with good genes.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's crazy that you say that, because when I was going to watch, the bodybuilders on stage, I had a friend that was always doing bodybuilding, and she was always prepping the meal and prepping, the cardio and everything. And one day she came and told me that she was depressed because she was focusing so much on the physical and she wasn't focusing on her mental,
Sure.
And that's where I'm like, yeah, you got to be able to be okay physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah. And that's really where a lot of your podcast comes in. I mean, you're not just talking about workout tips and diet tips. It's what's going on in your head. What are you going to do to make yourself feel good today?
Yeah. So it's not funny, but it's crazy that you say that, because my new season I started last month. It's called Starting Over. And I've had a lot of guests in it, and they share their experience about starting over. In life, we start over. Mm-hmm. It could be because of a death of a family, or it could be because you moved, or anything. And it's amazing how that also affects you mentally, and what experience you have to share,
Sure.
by starting over.
Yeah. I mean, well, change is good usually. Sometimes, the cards don't always come in our favor, but we have to learn to adjust and to kind of go with that rhythm, whatever it may take us.
Yeah. And I also believe that even if it doesn't go in your favor, it's a learning lesson. Sure. We're here on earth one time. So everything that happens I believe it's supposed to happen, and it's a lesson. It might not go the way you want it to go, but it's a lesson.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have like a guest on your show where like speaking to them kind of gave you a different outlook on things, to like say, you know what, I should bring this up in my show a little bit more often?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Yeah, I actually did. I love doing the podcast and meeting people. As you could tell, I love to talk. I love to meet new people and hear their stories. But for me, I had a good growing up. I grew up in a very good family. I was blessed, but hearing some of the stories, some people didn't grow up the way I did, and right. Seeing how much they overcame it. Some people had no support, and they were able to overcome. And some of them are writing, they're authors and wrote like the best-selling books. And it made me want to use that on my podcast because it's a motivation and inspiration, to be able to, you can be somebody. You just got to believe in yourself.
Absolutely. Do you have like a favorite piece of advice that you give your listeners?
I always say that you'll always hear it on my podcast. I always say this: you are given one body, so treat your body right and listen to your body. That's my advice. Mm-hmm. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the diets. Don't listen to your body. Your body will tell you exactly what you need. Mm-hmm. That's my advice. Always listen to your body. Listen to your mind.
Do you limit yourself with anything? Like, I mean, whether when you're exercising or, when it comes to food, I know it's really, they go hand in hand if you want to be healthy.
Yeah. So for me, I'm vegetarian.
Okay.
Which is funny because I'm from Brazil. In Brazil, they eat a lot of meat.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. That's where the Brazilian grill. I'm pretty sure they have it all around the U.S. They have Brazilian grills, which is all you can eat meat. Yeah, you should go to it. But I am vegetarian. I don't eat meat. And I made that decision about 7 years ago, because meat was just making me sick every time I would eat it. So I listened to my body and I ended up cutting meat. And I also have diabetes, so I have to watch what I eat. Mm-hmm. And it's all about listening to your body. And then I ended up exercising like 2 days ago, and I ended up pulling a calf muscle. So I had to rest, as much as I wanted to work out. It's all listening to your body and listening to what your body needs. And then also I meditate. So I work in a call center. So working in a call center from home, it can get stressful. So whenever I notice that I'm starting to get stressed, I do believe if you don't meditate or if you don't exercise or you don't do something to calm yourself down, you're going to get sick because that stress needs to be released. And you're not releasing it. It's going to be stuck in your body somewhere and it's going to cause sickness. So I meditate. That helps me meditate and also clear my mind.
Yeah. And I would imagine being in a call center, your brain is got to be firing on all four cylinders pretty much from the time you turn on that phone to the time you're getting ready to go home.
Yes.
Even regardless of if it's like a computer problem or if it's a medical problem, it still kind of comes to that same sort of, all day pressure. Like, okay, now what's your answer? I'm calling you, so you have to know it, right? And, you deal with people who are frantic.
Yeah, and it's funny because I work at a Christian organization. Okay. And even through a Christian organization, there's still stress.
Oh, yeah.
With the call center, we'll have the nicest donors, but it's just you want to provide the best that you can to them when th're calling.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So what is your exercise routine usually like? Do you start simple? Are you into weights or do you do cardio, running? What's your usual, or do you do a combo of anything?
So right now I'm doing the 75-day hard because my best friend convinced me to do it with her. And the 75-day hard is you do 2 workouts per day. So you do 45 minutes workout. One is inside and one is outside. And it does not matter if it rains or snows, you still got to do it outside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then that you also have to take a progress photo of yourself every single day. You have to not eat junk. So you're on a no cheat day, basically. And you read a 10-page motivational book. But the workout you choose, so there are days that I'm like, I want to walk outside. I want to enjoy the beautiful mountains of Colorado. So I walk outside, and then I come back in and I do some strength training or I'll do some yoga. So it's whatever my mind's like, okay, this is what I want to do today.
Okay. So it's not like extreme exercising when you're outside. You don't have to like climb a mountain or anything like that.
No. Okay. Years ago, when I was in my 20s, I would have been doing that. Now I'm not.
Like you said, you got to cut yourself a break every once in a while. No climbing today. We'll just walk. Yeah.
Here in Colorado, I don't know if you heard of it, but they have the steps. It's like they call it the steps of hell or the steps of heaven, I think. But it goes all the way up. And only Olympic people that are in the Olympics, they are the ones that train there.
Oh,
and I want to do it. It takes about 4 to 5 hours just to get to the top.
Oh, wow.
So one day I'll do it.
You better bring a couple of good podcasts with you, right?
Yeah, right?
It's a good distraction if you're going to walk for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about listening to podcasts, what podcasts do you like checking out?
So I like checking out anybody that's new, like yours.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably be checking yours out. I like just hearing new ones. But I'm a Christian, so I do listen a lot to Christian podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I do listen a lot to like church podcasts. I love that. That keeps me motivated. And I also like murder podcasts. I like those too.
Everybody that I talk to, they talk about that like it's a guilty pleasure. Yet crime podcasts are so ridiculously popular, Anna.
And we say it whispering too, like,
yeah,
I like murder podcasts.
Yeah, there was a murder one.
Don't tell anyone.
I think enough people know there was a murder at some point.
Yeah. What about you?
Me, I'm like the same way. I like listening to all sorts of stuff. Even like when you hear this interview, you will hear my edition called Sherpa Samples. And I just basically go through the podcast charts and check out a lot of different podcasts. Some of them are new. Some of them have been around for a while. It's just a good mix. It doesn't matter what the topic is. I know some of them, I'm not their target audience, because of, my age and my gender or whatever. But, you kind of got to put yourself in the mindset of somebody who would enjoy this.
Yeah.
And I don't really review them. It's just like, well, this is what this podcast is about. Maybe you might like it. Maybe not.
Yeah, you just give it a try. Just like when you go on Netflix and you watch an episode or a TV show, you give it a try.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it.
At least Netflix knows enough to go, we think you might like this.
Right?
And then I go, no, I won't.
Like, you don't know me, Netflix.
That's right. Who are they? All right, so we have a portion of the show, and it's called Shameless Self-Promotion. And this is where you get to plug all the stuff that's going around in the world of Anna that you want our listeners to know about.
Shameless Self-Promotion.
Oh, yeah. So I am actually starting a new podcast in May. It is going to be called Carrying the Strength, and it is going to be anybody that has served in the military. And I want them to share their story. It is very important to me because in May of last year, I lost my best friend and my husband's twin brother, and he was a veteran. So I wanted to do something that I wanted to give veterans a chance to share their story. So if you guys would like, go check it out. It's Gorgeous Body by Anna. And then I also have my own activewear also that I'm, I do it for fun. I mean, I get a little bit of money out of it, but I love doing it for fun. I love seeing people wear my brand and being gorgeous at the gym. So I like to promote that too.
I like that. There you go. More body positivity.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Her name is Anna. She is from the Gorgeous Body by Anna podcast and the clothing wear that goes along with it as well. And much thanks to your husband for his service.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Jim, for having me. You're amazing. Have a good one.
Now it's time for Sherpa Samples. If you've got a podcast you'd like us to sample, contact us and we'll mention your name on the show.
As promised to Anna and as promised to you, it is time once again for Sherpa Samples, and it is the portion of the show where I get to check out what's out there on the podcast charts in Podcastia and just give you a little bit of information on it. I don't really review them. I just kind of let you know what they're about, and maybe it might be something that you are interested in. And now you notice that Anna had said that she was interested in true crime podcasts, and I did actually sample two true crime podcasts. One of them is Murder in the Hollywood Hills, and that is a Dateline presentation. Oh, Dateline. And it is about people who were scammed into thinking that they were auditioning for a James Bond movie, but instead, that talent agent was a predator. Dun, dun, dun. And also we heard Beyond All Repair. This one is a really interesting one. This has to do with the murder of a woman, and they think that the woman's daughter-in-law killed her. But the woman's daughter-in-law maintains her innocence. Did she do it? Did she not do it? You'll have to listen to the podcast to find out. And finally, there is page 94, the Private Eye podcast, which is not a true crime podcast, but actually a political discussion podcast. Don't ask me why. It's from Britain. That's what they called it. I guess it's been going on for a while too. So if you enjoy discussion of British news, check out page 94. Speaking of British people, what a smooth segue that was. If you are a fan of the podcast Behind the Bastards, this is a podcast that belongs in that network, the Cool Zone Media Network. It is called Better Offline. It is hosted by Ed Zitron. And Ed, I believe, is a tech writer, and he actually talks about some of the horrible people in technology. And the episode that I checked out was what happened with Mark Zuckerberg and the metaverse. I don't know what happened to that. I don't get that. But he talks about that and fills you in a little stuff. Interesting things if you are definitely into tech, and you can imagine some of the people who will probably be discussed on that podcast. The Memory Palace is hosted by a guy named Nate DeMeo, and he does little stories from things from the past, therefore making it a memory. And the episode that I heard was about a gentleman, I believe it was back in the 20s, who did a song about a man who was trapped in a well, and it became popular. And this gentleman who sang the song, I guess, kind of gained popularity for being able to sing about the events of the day. A really unique and interesting story. On the sports side, there is Baseball is Dead, and these are a few gentlemen discussing what else? Baseball. You know, I was thinking a while back, I usually don't see a lot of baseball podcasts on the Podcastia charts, but I guess now that the season has started, maybe we're going to see a few more, and maybe there will be more that I will be sampling. I know there's still a lot of football and basketball ones out there, but not so much baseball. I don't really understand that. It is what it is. And speaking of basketball, there is a podcast called Mind the Game, and it is hosted by the one and only LeBron James and a guy named JJ Reddick, both basketball players, both discussing the game and really the game itself and the sport. And the episode that I listened to was called What Makes a Great Basketball Player? I'll give you a hint. Not me. And moving right along, we even got into a couple of health podcasts. There was one called Just One Thing. It is hosted by Michael Mosley, who is British. And the episode that I listened to had to do with smart snacking. That's a very important thing. Snack smartly, rebels. Snack smartly. And a new one that came out is called Messy. And the M and the first S are capitalized because the hosts, Christina Applegate and Jamie-Lynn Sigler, both have multiple sclerosis, or MS as it's known here, and they discuss having this condition in their lives and how it's affected them. Two very talented actresses, and they're really brutally honest with what they're going through in their struggle. I think if you or someone that you know is dealing with this, it's definitely worth a listen. It's really fascinating what they had to say. I don't know too much about MS, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed listening to what these ladies had to say. Lastly, this one was completely different from all the other 9 that I've just mentioned. It is called the Beef and Dairy Podcast Network. Now, I think a while ago when I interviewed Joe Saul-Sehy from Stacking Benjamins, he said that this was one of his favorite podcasts. And I finally got to listen to it after all this time. And I got to tell you, it is really funny. It is a goofy, really quirky kind of podcast, but it made me laugh. And if you are a fan of, I guess, almost kind of Monty Python type humor, you may enjoy this podcast. It has nothing to do with beef and dairy, but it's an interesting title, and the shows that you will hear are certainly unique. I can't really even think of any podcasts that were similar to listening to something like this. It's really very enjoyable. So whether you are eating beef or drinking dairy or the opposite, you know what it's time for. It's time to head into the outro.
We're on that internet thingy at sherpollution.com.
Thanks for listening to Too Many Podcasts, and of course, a very special thanks to Anna from GBBA, the Gorgeous Body by Anna podcast, for swinging by the Sherpa Chalet. And if you'd like to stay connected to this show, you know what you can do. Just follow me on social media. You just need to know one word, and that word is Sherpalution. We are on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, even LinkedIn, too. I think we have like one follower on there. Poor guys. And they're like, isn't anybody else going to follow this podcast? Am I the only silly one? We don't know. But anyway, we will be here next week with another show. Hopefully it'll be a new one. I would like for it to be a new one. We'll find out. You'll find out. The suspense is building. I can't take it anymore. We've got to go. Mr. Bruce, let's head on out of here. And until then, Rebels, I say to you, Viva la Sherpalution.
Thanks for listening to Too Many Podcasts. Please disperse. You can go home now. I said you can go home now. Viva la Sherpalution. Viva la Sherpalution. Oh. Yo, come back now, you hear?
You know, Rebels, if you've been checking out some of my promotional ads on social media, you will be aware that I have been using a lot of AI programs to help me create ads. But you know what? There's a lot more uses for AI than just funny little videos. And I'd like to introduce one of our new sponsors, Podium. It is a leader in creating AI tools for podcasters. Now, let's say you've got a podcast, or maybe you're even thinking of doing a podcast. You're probably wondering, well, how can AI be integrated with your workflow? I'll tell you about Podium. As a podcaster, you know that writing show notes and creating chapters and transcribing episodes takes a lot of time, and it can cost you a lot of money too. But you know what? That's where Podium comes in. It's an AI tool designed specifically for creators and podcasters with the goal of making post-production tasks quick and easy. And in just a few minutes, Podium generates show notes, chapters, summaries, clips for social media, a full transcript, suggested episode titles, social media posts, and more. Whew, that's a lot of work for one little program. Your show notes are key to your podcast's success because it helps new listeners find your podcast and they'll know if it's a fit for them. You know, kind of like Too Many Podcasts. It also improves your SEO, that's your search engine optimization. Ooh, big phrase there. And overall accessibility. And with Podium, you can focus on creating a great podcast and let Podium's AI do the heavy lifting. But Podium isn't just for solo creators and podcasters. It's a game changer for editors, producers, marketers, agencies, and production studios. Teams that use Podiums are able to increase workloads, decrease turnaround times, and improve their quality. How does it work? Very easy. First, go to Podium's website, and you'll see that link that's right there in the show notes. You get 3 hours free just to try it. Pretty cool, huh? And using that link also supports this show as well. And you know what else happens? Because I'm a good guy. You use my link, you will get 50% off for your first month. So visit the site, upload an MP3 file, and download your files, and that's it. And if you need anything else, you can use Podium GPT to generate articles and any marketing copy you might need in seconds. Instant show notes, transcripts, chapters for your podcast or channel. This will level up that podcast. So check out Podium today.